Okay, everyone, the Preport is back. And in our main story in the Preport, OAN is continuing to try to not only fight back against Taylor Swift, or even, because remember, she isn't doing anything, the effect that they think she's going to have on the election, but also anything that is negative towards Taylor Swift, any crimes people commit that were in regards to Taylor Swift, all of that needs to be drawn in to their continually evolving conspiracy theories. So we're going to be responding to that. It's insane, absurd. But along the way, we've also got a funny video with James Carville. We've got men who wear the same underwear for an entire week, which I have thoughts about. But anyway, we have other stuff as well. A little bit of foreign policy, too, we're going to try to get to. Lots to talk about. Not a lot of time, unfortunately. But thank you for being here. Those of you, it looks like already more than half who've hit the like button. Thank you for doing that. People are saying that the Preport link is difficult to find. I apologize for that. I don't know what else I can do. I made it available. Make sure that you're signed up to get notifications. Is there still the bell to ring? Perhaps do that. I don't know. Apologies. It's a difficult platform for a lot of reasons, but thank you for being here again. Hit that like button. We're going to jump into our first story. We're going to start off with a little bit of, not the Taylor Swift thing really, but just making fun of them a little bit. You know what? Hold on for that for one sec. I want to talk about one or two other small things, and then we'll jump into that bigger topic. So, I saw a headline, really bothered me, should bother every reasonable person, and it's this: educators wrestle with new limits on teaching Black history. So what that means is, we're in this school year, and we're launching into Black History Month. And so, what do you do in Black History Month? I mean, traditionally, over the past couple of decades, Black History Month is the month where maybe, finally, you learn a little bit about Black history, about the contributions of notable Black Americans, maybe a little bit of international news as well. One would think that that could just be history, that history could teach you about everyone who's notable, but of course it does not, which is why you had the development of this. Well, what does Black History Month mean in a time when so many states have done everything they can to stop people from learning about these historic figures, the legacy of institutional as well as individual racism in America? Remember, there are 14 states that have new laws restricting the ability of teachers to teach these topics. There's additional restrictions in others too. By the way, during the past year, 30 states have had lawmakers propose restrictions. So the majority of American states have said, you know what? In a time of crisis, economic crisis, and let's say border crisis, and we also should acknowledge that, our students are apparently falling behind in a lot of ways. What we're going to focus on is making sure that they don't learn about the fact that there's been some racism in American history. Of course, Florida is, maybe the most out in front on this. And again, every one of these politicians who is attempting to stamp out the teaching of Black history, stamp out the teaching of the history, in a related sense of like LGBTQ Americans, every one of them says they're against censorship. They're for free speech. They hate cancel culture, except when they're trying to utterly cancel the teaching of multiple cultures and their contributions in America. And the issue is that they got those laws in more than a dozen states. In more than a dozen states, the students will be worse off. They will be less educated than they would have otherwise been. That is the effect of having Republicans in state government, is that your kids become dumber, more ignorant at the very least, less prepared for the world because they don't understand where we are coming from. Thank you, Linda, for being here. Apologies for no notification. I'm always sorry when that's the way it goes. One Covert Ninja's been here for 37 months. That's, what a great day. I just got the notifications about a new offering on Peanut Butter Storytime. Yes, that's the funny thing. You get those notifications, but nobody gets the Preport notifications. That is a reference to my non-political, no politics, Patreon, Peanut Butter Storytime at patreon.com/John Arola, where today I did release the latest of my original writing. It is Eden Unbound. It is a sci-fi action story set in my Grindverse sci-fi setting. I had a lot of fun writing. It's one of my favorite things that I've written, and it's available now at patreon.com/John Arola, as well as, dozens of podcasts and stories and behind the scenes, dramatic readings and all that stuff. But let's jump into other news. So Vice has a headline. It's in their life section, admittedly. It might initially seem a little bit weird that it would be there at all, but it is this. The men who wear the same underwear for an entire week. Apparently, 1 in 5 men actually do this, which is one of the best subtitles I've ever seen in an article. The author, Eloise Hendy's father, starts off the article by saying, surely only hostages do that. But no, apparently a new study, let's see, this is a study from, it's being reported in the Plymouth Herald. This is for the UK, so bear that in mind, but 20% of men wear the same underwear for a week. 1 in 5, which means in theory, at least in the UK, if you're like in line at a Subway or whatever the UK equivalent of a Subway is, there's 1 or 2. And I don't get it. Now, I would say, look, how is this still the case? Because didn't Jordan Peterson tell everyone to clean their rooms? Didn't that solve the problem? No, but really, like, look, maybe this is like, for some people, an ideological thing. I do not want to use water except where absolutely necessary. And if that's the case, then more power to you. But you gotta change your underwear. I mean, like, I'm just saying, for career purposes, for relationship purposes, I would change it, you know, maybe as much as every day. Maybe every single day you change it. Maybe more than once a day, depending on what you're getting up to on that day. But look, Vice interviews people, and there are some who, this is, like, I guess it's a time saver, or... Look, there's one guy, Casey, in Fairbanks, Alaska, that says it's so cold there that changing out of your pants and your underwear is an issue. But make do, find a way. Look, it can lead to bacteria and fungus, and it can lead to a lot of negative stuff. There are health implications there too, not just social and career implications. So consider it. Anyway. Okay, so look, I want you to know, I don't know at this point exactly what to make of this breaking news. It's significant, which is why we're going to talk briefly about it, but the State Department is supposedly reviewing options for possible recognition of the Palestinian State, which is interesting. That's certainly a change for them. It could be a signal, maybe that Joe Biden, or at least people in the State Department, are hearing the criticism from a lot of Democrats that maybe they really are starting to feel that pressure as we launch into the general election, that there's a lot of Democrats, particularly a lot of young Democrats, people of color, who don't like the stance that Joe Biden and the Biden administration has had on this. But I would say, look, while this could theoretically be significant, and I don't think that we should write it off as nothing, the longer you wait in doing this without doing other things, the more I wonder what Palestinian state is going to be left for you to recognize at that point. I mean, we've seen the absolutely massive number of casualties, the massive destruction of infrastructure and homes. And by the way, I'm not logged in on this computer, but there is an article, okay? And so, on the New York Times, very good reporting here. Israel's controlled demolitions are razing neighborhoods in Gaza. It is very well reported, very well researched, about how you have a lot of residential buildings as well as infrastructure, businesses, all of that are being destroyed in the bombing. We all understand that at this point. But that also the IDF is going in and doing controlled demolition of entire neighborhoods. Now, they say they're doing this because there's infrastructure or tunnels or whatever that they need to destroy. Maybe. I mean, who's to say? There's no international monitors or anything like that. But the end result is entire, like, new developments, major apartment buildings, all those sorts of things are being destroyed. Entire neighborhoods are just being wiped off the map, literally wiped off the map. And they have the map over at the New York Times of the number of instances of this, and they have many, and they believe that that is only a small sampling of all that has actually been done. So when you see that, like, you know, I don't even know what the amount is, but right now, the percentage of buildings that are destroyed or damaged, this is one of the ways. It is not simply the absolutely apocalyptic level of bombing that's going on, but it's also a strategy to just wipe away entire neighborhoods from the map, theoretically opening up that territory perhaps for new development of one form or another. So just bear that in mind. Okay, there's a lot that I want to get to, but I think we're going to have to move on to our main topic. Main story to come in just a couple of minutes. Half of you have not hit the like button. I take that as a personal slight, and I assume that is what it is intended to be. So that's really nice. Thank you. But anyway, we're going to move into this. I don't generally care too much about what James Carville has to say, particularly about politics. He has not had a lot of respect for progressives or, you know, the evolution that we see in the Democratic Party over time. But he was asked about the right's Taylor Swift conspiracy theories, and I do find that to be interesting. What I am going to do is I'm going to test a change to the sound to see if that helps us. Okay, we're going to see if this is perhaps a little bit louder, a little bit more audible. You let me know as we launch into this video.
Donald Trump or part of the far right, and you're having trouble with women voters, is there a worse strategy than attacking Taylor Swift?
You know, I don't think there's anything strategic about this. I think most of these people are sexually inadequate, and they go for all this crazy stuff. And I don't think it's nothing strategic about something that stupid. It's just real stupidity to believe something like that. And she seems to me, I'm not very familiar with her generation. She seems like a really nice person, kind of well raised, and you know, gives people at work for like $100,000 bonuses. What's that not to like about Miss Swift? I have no idea.
I love the so look. I'm not gonna claim that like I know a lot necessarily about Taylor Swift or anything, but I love what filters through to him. Okay, so people are saying it's not loud enough, so we're gonna try for the next video, the final video, a different output, and we'll see if that's perhaps louder. Let's see.
Get the memo.
Okay, that should be better. But anyway, I love that what comes out for him is she seems nice, well-raised. She gives her employees large bonuses, which is nice. But how is that the one fact that he knows? Now, on to his theory that the reason they're so focused on Taylor Swift and attacking her relationship is that they're sexually inadequate. I don't know if I would use the term sexually inadequate. I mean, that's definitely an element of it. I don't know that that's the biggest issue for them. I think that they're sexually dissatisfied, and part of that is due to sexual inadequacy. I think that especially a lot of the right-wing men, they do not have happy, satisfying sexual relationships, and how could they? Like, for a lot of these men, these right-wingers who are generally straight men, they despise their partners on a deep level. Like, maybe they have some affection for them as individuals, but they hate what they are. They hate that they are women. And look, we could go back through and relitigate some of the things they have said about sex that have strongly implied that they don't understand it or are not particularly interested in it. But I think that that's a part of it. I don't think that that's the biggest part of it. I think that the sexual stuff is a component. I think that the reason they're focusing so much on this is that they are deeply angry about the fact that people who strongly identify as right-wingers are not more popular. That generally the people who are popular tend to be more liberal. Now, that's not universally true, but it tends to be the way that it goes. It's not, by the way, surprising at all. A lot of these celebrities are younger people. They're more likely to be liberal anyway. They're part of a new generation that is more progressive than the prior generation. Also, when a lot of the celebrities are people whose career is made in the arts, why are you surprised by the fact that they don't tend to be hard right-wingers? You guys fucking despise the arts. You believe that all of it is cancel culture or something. Like, so weird that the people who end up going in there and excelling in there tend to be more liberal. At the end of the day, they don't have an actual problem with Taylor Swift. They have a problem with Taylor Swift because she is a lib, because she will help Joe Biden. That's it. If she were to switch over right now and talk about how she doesn't trust like the vaccine or something, she would be asked to be on Fox News on a daily basis and all that. It is just pure partisanship. That's all it is. And we're going to go to how that partisanship manifests in a truly ridiculous fashion in one sec. But James Thompson sent in a super chat to say, my mother had Eucharist this morning. She has had AML for more than 4 months, had a transfusion reaction on the 19th, ER 2 nights, ICU 2 days, and sent home with hospice signed up. I feel alone. That is devastating. Obviously, I feel terrible for your mother, for you, for your family. That is a whole lot for an individual to go through, for a family to go through. So I'm very sorry that you're all experiencing that. Absolutely devastating. I'm not going to go into specifics, but there has been some stuff in sort of that area in my own family. So, while I would have empathy for you in any event, particularly now, very sorry about that. Jan, I'm saying, John, I wanted to clarify that the loss of my little girl is my dog. I forgot to put that in my milestone chat last Friday. Understood. Thank you for the update. Sad in any event, obviously a different circumstance, but sad regardless. And we're going to move on to our final story. As I alluded to in the beginning, OAN host Alison Steinberg is not content to just say, Taylor Swift is bad, Taylor Swift should shut up about politics. She has jumped into all of the conspiracy theories. It's a psyop, it's the CIA, her relationship with Travis Kelce isn't organic. Oh, also, football is a psyop. The hatred that they have for Taylor Swift has driven them to turn against, like, America's pastime. But it goes even beyond that, because Taylor Swift was, of course, within the last week or two, attacked online by a flood of AI-generated fake pornographic images of her. It is the nightmare that we've known is coming, playing out before our very eyes, that someone who the right doesn't like is attempted to be driven off of the internet. I don't know, like, individually how it's supposed to make them look bad, but it's certainly supposed to make them feel bad. And that makes the right look bad. It makes the enemies of Taylor Swift, at the very least, look bad. That is not acceptable for this OAN host. So this is how she attempts to make herself feel better about that.
Well, Jay, I'm glad the White House is so concerned with such pressing matters. I mean, don't we have a wide open border that's just waiting to be tended to? But the point here is, I'm pretty sure this was yet another psyop, because X actually stopped the search engine results temporarily for this, which I find rather alarming, because ultimately it's controlling information, right? I mean, what do you make of this situation and how it was handled, especially considering there are new reports that X is looking to hire 100 new content moderators just by the end of the year?
Which, by the way, I had not heard. That's the best news I've heard out of Twitter in some time. But think about what she's fucking doing there. How dare Twitter temporarily block access to what amounts to artificially generated revenge porn of one of the most notable and famous people in the world? No, that's unacceptable. Everyone should have access to what is effectively revenge porn that someone made in their computer. And how dare they stop people from having access to that? By the way, this is 100%, again, and look, we can't be surprised. The OAN host sees literally everything. She is trained to see everything through the lens of partisanship. If this was targeting a right-winger, do you think this is what they would be saying? That this is a psyop? That if they were generating images of, like, there's not a lot of notable women, Gina Carano, or whatever, that it would be a fucking psyop if they took those posts down? That if it was Carrie Lake, I don't know, Lauren Boebert, that was receiving this flood of AI-generated pornographic images, that she would be saying, how dare they take it down? That if it was of her, and by the way, being a woman in the news, involved in politics, I am sure that she faces harassment and threats. And she knows that. She knows exactly what she's doing here. But again, it's not about having a standard and then applying that standard to different situations in politics. It's about having different standards based on whether I like you right now or not. I don't like you, Taylor Swift. So if people are going to try to drive you off of the internet, as I don't know exactly what message they think they're sending by making these fake images, but they're certainly trying to hurt her, trying to damage her, and she is fine with that because right now she doesn't like Taylor Swift. If it was of Candace Owens, do you think that she would be doing the segment that she's doing right here? Let alone, of course, having to couch all of it in conspiracy theorist language. Because again, as I said, the problem with the right is not that they believe a conspiracy theory or multiple conspiracy theories. It is that they have been trained to be conspiracists. Everything has to be a conspiracy theory. Everything has to have some explanation other than the one that is obvious. The situation here is obvious. Right-wingers don't like her. Taylor Swift has haters. They are using this technology to try to hurt her. But that's not good enough, particularly because it implicates her side. So somebody, George Soros, is probably doing it. That is the problem on the right. The willful participation in misogyny and conspiracism to take down someone who you don't agree with in politics. So a lot of fun there. It's going to become more common. It is almost certainly it is almost always going to attack those who are associated in one form or another with the left, with the Democratic Party. That's the way it's going to work. It's not going to only do that, but that's generally how it's going to be. So prepare for that. Anyway, I am running out of time. I didn't realize how long it had gone. Thank you, everyone, for being here on the Pre-Port. We've brought it back this week. We're going to try to keep it going. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already. And as I alluded to earlier, if you're interested in seeing a little bit of my original fiction, patreon.com/JohnEdarola for Eden Unbound, released today, and more to come on that in the near future. Thank you all. I'll see you soon. Boop.